Barry Connell, trainer of Marine Nationale, because he believes his horse has still got more to offer, more to come. Has he peaked, or could he be right?
I think Flan Sour is he's the one for me here.
Oh, it's a tough call. I'm not sure. I've been against him a few times in his form, but I'm starting to think I'll give him another chance.
All right, welcome to this William Hill Inside Track special, a few days out from the Punchestown Festival. The last act, really, of what we recognise as the National Hunt season, no matter what has gone on at Sandown Park to officially conclude the British season. So much interest in 5 wonderful days at Punchestown, and we're going to have a little look ahead to the feature races on each day with William Hill ambassadors Gavin Cromwell, who's had such an amazing 2024-25 Gold Cup winning trainer, of course, Sir Anthony McCoy and Barry Geraghty. You've got an interesting team, however. You'll be quite well represented. Just looking through your entries at the moment, as far as the Grade 1s are concerned, is Only by Night, is she a likely runner? She's as short as 4-1 for the Big Novice Chase.
Yeah, she's in great nick and looking forward to that. She ran a cracker in the Arkle, and I thought she was home and hosed and just got mugged on the line.
And you had her in, didn't you, at Aintree and took her out? Was that simply a ground play?
Yeah, we walked the track and I tried everything to convince myself to run, and I was just so happy that I didn't run because, it's just the ground was just too quick for her.
Okay, but she's in good form now.
She's in great form. Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to that.
I know that Hello Neighbour's a horse you've always had a huge amount of time for. He's in the juvenile hurdle at this stage. A, are you going to run him? And B, is there anything that makes you think that he can get closer than he did at Cheltenham when he was tanking but didn't quite get home?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think he was better than the result in Cheltenham. Met the last very wrong and screwed at it and landed in a bit of a heap at the back of it and just didn't get going. He was almost at the line when he got going and the race was gone. Probably didn't quite see it out. Maybe Punchestown just doesn't take as much getting on the hurdle track. But he seems in good form. He worked this morning. Keith rode him and he felt great.
And those are the Grade 1 entries, the big Grade 1 entries at the moment, but I'm sure you're going to be extremely well represented. Give me sort of 3 or 4 horses that you're really excited about, who you think are peaking at the right time for the meeting.
6.5 is one that we didn't run in Fairyhouse. She was in the Grade 1, 2.5 miles on very testing ground. I was very happy that it didn't run there. She has the option of a flat campaign as well, and I think that would have left its mark on her. There is a listed mares novice hurdle for horses that haven't won a graded race, so looks an ideal race for her. She's in great form.
You've got her in the Chester Cup as well. Is that still on the cards?
It's probably going to come too close now. We left her in it. If we were going to Fairyhouse, it may have been more of an option. Listen, it's not completely ruled out. We've left her in it, so we'll see how we get on Punchestown.
Now, obviously, you'll be as engrossed as everybody else by the Trainers' Championship battle that's going on in Britain at the moment between Dan Skelton and Willie Mullins. Sir AP, I was looking at the entries today, the declarations today for Sandown on Saturday. I think it's fair to say that the tanks are now firmly on the lawn. It's an insane amount of artillery from Willie Mullins on Saturday. Can Dan Skelton do anything about it?
Well, it's hard to you look at the big race. Look at the big race, Nick, and there's like high class hero Dancing City, Manila Kirkconnell, Grange Clare West, Omar Park, Chosen Witness, Clark Kent. I mean, Spanish Harlem. Just the depth of talent is, and obviously that's the big race of the day with all the prize money and it's hard to believe that Dan, much and all as he can try, it's hard to believe that Willie is not going to win a lot of prize money. The likes of Kitzbühel as well, I think will be better back in trip a little bit. He was very keen in entry, wasn't he? And then obviously he's got Gaelic Warrior, who's favourite. Yes, gentleman to me, appreciated. Classic getaway, So it's just such an array of talent, just an army, isn't it? And
Yeah,
like Dan will do his best, and you gotta admire the what Dan's done, but just the array of talent and the sheer numbers is probably what's going to. He's just you just look at Willie with that amount of runners, he's going to win a lot of prize money. Dan will win a bit of prize money next few days, but come Saturday it'll be good, and it would be nice to see if it went right to the end, wouldn't it? But it will be hard.
how do you call it? How do you call it, Barry? Is it going to go to the wire or not?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's probably gone to the wire now. It's all going to happen on Saturday, and it looks like Willie with you hear the armour that AP has just mentioned. I think Grangecare West, if he puts up his best performance with his Grand National run, with his his second to Gallop in the Champ at Christmas and Leopardstown, he's beaten 4 lengths. If he reproduces anything like that, I think he can overcome top weight. Gaelic Warrior likewise stepped up and trip an Aintree. If he can back up that form, which he has struggled through in recent times. If those two came in, it's game over. So it's hard to see how Dan can match. If he could even get on the scoreboard on Saturday, I think would be a result. But to match what Willie can throw at it, I think he's going to struggle. And he's given it a great crack, and you have to give him massive credit. But it could be a really tough day for him.
Gavin, have you been absorbed by it, or are you too busy with your own thing?
Probably a little bit busy with my own, but yeah, you'd have to feel sorry for Dan. He's had such a fantastic year, and he's making such a good stab at it. And I'm sure he's going to win lots of championships, and it's just hard to see how he's going to, how Willie is going to take control. I'd imagine.
Gentlemen, some things as we record are a little bit indistinct, but we can have a pretty good stab at the main races on each day. And the first race we can have a look at is a William Hill sponsored race. It's the William Hill Champion Chase, and that takes place on Tuesday at 5:25. And just pulling up the entries for this at the moment. Quite a few horses with alternative targets. We know Gaelic Warrior is going to Sandown at the weekend. We know that Il Était Temps and Energumen are also going to Sandown at the weekend. Likewise, El Fabiolo. Banbridge is going to run in the 3 mile race. So this might really boil down to a matchup between Fact to File, if he goes here, and Marine Nationale. Still, Sir Anthony, a very interesting race.
Yeah, you might get Solness, maybe, Nick, but I can't really see what else is going to run now. But yeah, it could be a very interesting race. Factor 5 was just so impressive in the Ryanair and looked like he had such a high cruising speed, jumped better than he ever had done before. There's no doubt Marine Nationale was a very good winner of a champion chase, but I think a lot of people will be fascinated to watch Factor 5 over 2 miles. I think he's just such a good traveller. Touchwood has been such a good jumper. Watching him win a Ryanair, you thought, yeah, you'd like to drop him back and trip. And as I said, Solness might run. He might take them along if Factor 5 doesn't. But he just that Factor 5 just might be a bit different. And I'm much in awe as I was impressed by National. I couldn't for the life of me think about writing him ahead of Factor 5.
Gavin, are you in the camp that says class will overcome all issues as regards trip here? Do you think that Factor File simply has too much ability no matter what distance he's running over?
Yeah, I'd listen. He looked very, very sharp. I don't think the trip is going to be a problem to him. He jumps really well. There's a good chance the ground is going to be on the slope. Officially soft this morning, with more rain at the weekend. So that'll slow things down as well.
Barry, there's one man who won't agree, and that's Barry Connell, trainer of Marine Nationale, because he believes his horse has still got more to offer, more to come. Has he peaked, or could he be right?
No, well, he possibly has more to come, and he put in a brilliant performance in Cheltenham. I'd say he doesn't get the recognition he deserves maybe for what he has done. He's improved race on race all season, and he is a supreme novice hurdle winner, so he's a high class horse. He beat John Bond 18 lengths. He had Captain Guinness the same song as. Found that 50 was 25 lengths behind him, and he was a good winner at Ferias last weekend. So the form is definitely strong enough. But I think Gavin just touched on the ground being on the soft side. I think that's the key. On better ground, I think this is a better horse on better ground, Marie Nationale, and I think he could maybe show his speed better on those conditions. So for me, I think it hinges on the ground. If the slower it is, the stronger you'd have to fancy Factor 5.
Well, with that in mind, then Barry, it's quite an easy segue into the Ladbrokes Punchestown Gold Cup that takes place on Wednesday. Galopin Des Champs is the favourite for this, 6-4 at the moment, with William Hill, and he hasn't won at Punchestown over fences his last 4 times he's been defeated. But could an extra drop of rain wind us back to 2022, the last time he won very easily at Punchestown over fences?
I don't think going has been the beating of him in the last 2 seasons in this race. He's been beaten fair and square on the back of his Gold Cup wins. He had a tougher race than this year in the Gold Cup. I think the ground was probably quicker than ideal for him there. So I think he's just potential for a hangover, even to be more exaggerated because of the conditions in Cheltenham. So I would be against him and happy to take him on with Spillane Tower. Obviously, he missed his engagements through the season, but put in a really good run in the John Durkin at the start of the season. I didn't fancy him massively going to the King George. I thought it was just too sharp for him. So I think he would have been a player had he lined up in the Gold Cup. But the race was avoided and the Ryanair likewise. So I think Spillane Tower is he's the one for me here.
So we've got the Gold Cup 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We've got potentially the Grand National winner, Nick Rocket, in there as well, who's been nibbled at. Banbridge is going to run in this race as well. Joseph O'Brien confirmed to me today, Sir AP, but would be worried if the ground got softer. How do you read it?
Yeah, I think as Barry says, Nick, look, Banbridge, if the ground was slow, I wouldn't even imagine if he'd run because he had a try on it before and didn't like it. And I know Ronnie was often thinking he needs to have good to soft and no worse probably than that. So there would be, if it as it was, Gavin said this morning, officially soft, there's not a hope that Banbridge would run on soft ground. It looks like it would be a match and you'd have to go on a Galopin Des Champs record coming back to Punchestown and you'd have to think, he just never looked happy in the Gold Cup for whatever reason from a very early stage. He just might have got beaten by a very good horse. His day may have come and gone, and a very good day it was. But he just never looked overly happy in the Gold Cup at Cheltenham. He's coming back here after what you'd imagine would have been a harder race, having not performed there. So, yeah, I think a lot of people would probably be happy to take him on with the fresher horses, Spillane Tower. That's not knocking him because Galopin Des Champs is a phenomenal racehorse and has done so much for the game and has been brilliant for it. But just having got beaten a Gold Cup, coming back to try and win a race that he hasn't won before, just might be more difficult to see it.
And Gavin, you're in the sort of luxurious position of looking at all these horses who finished well in your wake at Cheltenham. Do you like one of them to step forward if indeed they need to, or do you think that the fresh horse will have the fresh legs?
I'd say the fresh horse will have the fresh legs. It's hard to see Galopin Des Champs. The talk from the Gold Cup was, he Paul said from early on in the race he didn't feel the same horse, and it's very hard to get a horse back. Now, if anybody can do it, it's Willie. But you just, I think you'd fancy the fresh horse. Obviously, he was ready for Aintree and didn't run over there, but he's been lightly campaigned, and I think I'd be sticking with Spillane Tower.
On to the feature race on Thursday then. That's the 1st of May, which is the Champions Stayers Hurdle. Huge pot here. Now, really, Barry, we need somebody from Robcore. We need Brian or Rob Atchison to come and tell us which of Tupo, Bob Ollinger or Hidden Valley Lake is going to prevail, or whether Willie Mullins can spoil the party with Jimmy DeSoy, perhaps. But it's an amazing hand these owners have in this division.
It is definitely, you saw it in the Stayers Hurdle, but he showed there that he's not afraid to run them against each other. And unless he's thinking of going to a tie with any of these horses, it is their final engagement of the season. But you'd have to have a question mark over Henry's horse's form. A lot of his fancy runners at Ferias bombed out. Air of Entitlement, the Big Westerner, Hartwood, all very disappointing. So you'd have to have a question mark over Bob Ollinger. Conditions would be ideal for Tia Hoopu, who won this race last year, beating Asteria for Lange. he likes a break. I think he's had enough time from Shelton now to this. I'm glad they didn't go to Aintree. Hidden Valley Lake has been to Aintree, obviously a good performance, but I think he'd have to be better than that, I think, to beat Tiahupu. And if you have to fancy home with the Lee who bombed out in Aintree, I think that'd be a bigger step.
Yeah, I mean, home by the lead. Joseph O'Brien saying the blinkers. He didn't face the blinkers at Aintree, and they're going to take them off at Punchestown. So there's an angle if you like him. Is it a compelling enough angle, Gavin, or are you just going to play the straight bat here with Chupo?
I don't know. I'm not going
You
to.
can pass. You're allowed to pass.
I'm going to pass.
You're allowed to pass. Sir Anthony, you can have the last word on this.
Yeah, I think Tiahupu will win, Nick. So I do think that I think if the ground conditions stay the way they are and that, I think that would really play to his strengths, and I just think he might be the best horse. And I know Bob Ollinger beat him at Cheltenham. There was times I thought they maybe didn't go fast enough for him at Cheltenham, but I think Tiahupu will win. Yeah.
Keep hold of the baton, Sir AP, because we got the champion hurdle on Friday to talk about. Well, it could be an absolute cracker. We don't know, as we're recording, whether Constitution Hill's going to run. If we're assuming that he is, if he goes well in a spin for James Bowen, who we assume is going to ride him next week. I'm making all sorts of assumptions here. He's currently the favourite, only just from State Man. Lossy Mouth. She's missing Sandown. Looks like she's going to go to Punchestown. But Paul Talent apparently did report that she felt the quick ground at Aintree. So she's going to have to recover quickly from that. Brighter Days Ahead has to recover from the champion hurdle. And Golden Ace, nobody's talking about going into this, but nobody talked about it going into Cheltenham either. Throw maybe Absurd and one or two others into the mix. And you've got a serious horse race. How do you read it?
I think. Look, I think you'd be inclined to. I'd be inclined to give Constitution Hill another go. I think Lossiemouth, if she was feeding the ground, Brighter Days Ahead is one that I think is definitely better left-handed. I remember when she won the Morgiana, she went a bit left all the way. Golden Ace, you'd have to say, was a very lucky winner of a champion hurdle. Stateman is very good around a Punchestown. I mean, the ground will play a huge part, Nick, to be honest. If the ground was to stay soft, then, not to say Constitution Hill won't go on it, but I think he'd be a little more vulnerable on it. So ground is the key. Ground is the key. Oh, it's a tough call. I'm not sure. I've been against him a few times and he's fallen, but I'm starting to think I'll give him another chance.
Is there ever going to be a day when Barry Geraghty recommends betting against Constitution Hill? Have we reached the tipping point?
Absolutely nowhere near it.
No.
I had a good chat. I had a good chat with Nicky yesterday, gave him a call, and he was asking me, was I thinking of coming out of retirement? So I said I'm probably a bit heavy, but I'm a bit unfit, but I don't think I'd have to push him too hard. No, I think he's a clear round he wins. Obviously, that's been an issue on his last two starts. But I think the Punchestown, the old style hurdle, is going to help him. He was very good over them at Kempton. He's obviously got his wires crossed on the last two runs. No, I think Constitution Hill, I'm solid on him. And I suppose the other factor is Nicky said he's waiting on this crucial piece of work on Friday morning, I think it is. And he's going to school him as well. So everything has to be right. And the fact that Nico is injured, who would ride him normally in this work, he's going to have to be on fire for the confidence to be there in him. So if he does line up, you will know he is on fire. James Bowen will ride him, and James is a very talented rider. I have great faith in him. I think he was unlucky at Aintree, the horse, and I think he would get his moment in the sun in Punchestown.
Do you agree, Gavin? Extraordinary confidence in Constitution Hill, despite two recent falls. He's still a 5-4 shot with William Hill.
Yeah, like you can't say that he's not good enough because he's just had a couple of falls and with a clear round of jumping, I think he's going to take a lot of whacking.
So there we are. Three clear votes for Constitution Hill to redeem himself.
Are there rubber hurdles in going to the traditional style hurdle? Are they any? Do they have any?
I think a horse, the traditional hurdle has more presence. I don't think horses are as flippant at them as they are at the rubber hurdles. So I think it makes a difference. I know he did let fly the hurdle going away from the stands in Kempton, but he was foot perfect after that. I just think that as I said, they lack presence for me. And I'm saying that as when I was riding on them, I felt that way, and I still feel that way about them.
All
You
right.
know
Well,
better than me, but that's why I asked the question.
yeah, it's an extremely worthwhile point, and possibly one that hasn't had all that much play in the lead up to this race. And of course, depending on who declares in the champion hurdle on Friday, may well have an impact on who declares for the Mayor's Champion Hurdle on Saturday. Here we are again, because Brighter Days and Lossiemouth have both got engagements potentially in both races. So it's pretty difficult to get a handle on what to recommend on Saturday, Barry, because we simply don't know whether one of the big guns is going to show up. I mean, if, for example, it was a straight shootout between Brighter Days Ahead and Lossiemouth, where would you be inclined to lean
I
at two
think
and
it
a
will
half
be a straight
miles?
shootout. I think it will be a straight shootout between them. And the vibes are both are going this direction from this side. I would be with Lossiemouth. Brighter Days Ahead, I think, as Abby mentioned earlier, she is better going left-handed. Does jump to her left, so I think that's ideal for her. But we're hinging all her form on that one performance in Leopardstown. And don't get me wrong, that was a great run, but Stateman didn't show up on the day. So she obviously bombed out in the champion hurdle. But for me, her form before that Leopardstown win, there's no reason through any other form that I would suggest she would beat Lossiemouth. I think the trip is ideal for Lossiemouth. The track will suit her better than it will Bright Reds Ahead. So no, for me, I would be very sweet on Lossiemouth to win this.
Okay. Anything else we should be taking seriously here, Gavin? Do you think at this stage? I mean, Willie Mullins is clearly loaded. He's got all the Kenny Alexander horses entered: Jay DeGrugy and Cargizi and Galamarso and all the others. It's a long way out, so it's hard to tell. But
It
is
is
there a way
very hard.
you'd play this?
Yeah, it's just hard to tell. I'm sure. Are there some of them running in Sandown? I'm not even sure.
I don't think those are, but I
No,
I had a good count earlier. Um,
no, I don't think
No.
so.
either way, between the two star mares, which way would you lean?
Mm, listen, Lassie mouth, but then if the question about her being jarred from the ground, I don't know. But yeah, I definitely be going with her.
Okay, and Sir AP finally.
Yeah, I go with Lossiemouth. I just think maybe going right-handed, she could get a great record around Punchestown. Nick, I just had that little doubt about Brighter Days Ahead. Got blinded maybe by what I saw in Leopardstown that time, and it was so impressive, but it's hard to get out of your head the disappointment of the champion hurdle, so I'd be inclined to go with the one
I think
that's been winning in form.
that her performance in Leopardstown is very hard to do that twice in a year. Like, that was an unbelievable performance.
Yeah, it was a shock and awe performance from Brighter Days Ahead over Christmas. It'd be good to see her come back to her best if she does. Maybe that'll be in the Mayor's Champion Hurdle that takes place at 3:42 on Saturday. That's our look ahead then to Punchestown. I hope that's been somewhat informative for you. Thank you to William Hill ambassadors Barry Geraghty, Sir Anthony McCoy, and of course Gavin Cromwell. And congratulations, Gavin, once again on a great season. Thanks so much for watching this special edition of William Hill's The Inside Track. We'll see you again very soon.